I'm gonna do this. Hi, my name is Anastasia, but a lot of people know me as Kiki.
Kiki, good to see you.
Same
And
here.
let's start from the surface. How does a successful Russian model end up in Thailand with a Thai boyfriend, opening a brand new YouTube channel with almost no subscriptions, 1 month away from being broke?
Yeah, life
How,
is unpredictable.
how did it happen?
Life is just life happening. I mean, obviously, there's a long journey that brought me here. And I don't think this is somewhere that it's like kind of like a bad point. I think for me, honestly, I am like in the very beginning of something quite big. And so I think even though it might be considered as a low point, I still feel like I am like in the beginning of a bigger something. So I'm excited, like
I'm glad to
uh,
hear that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's okay. I'm sure certain people will view that from that perspective, and I am glad to see that you're fine with that. But so okay, so could you take me through your life? Like tell me
yeah.
about your story. Let's still stay at the
Let
surface level a
yes.
little bit just to get to know each other.
Let me
But
tell
but
you
I'm
a
I'm
little bit.
I'm sure we'll dive much deeper for sure.
So my story, I guess, begins from being modeling since very early, leaving my home, leaving my homeland, my family. When I was 13 years old, I was a baby. And since then, as I started traveling and modeling, doing contracts all around the world, that's all I've been doing all my life, basically, until like until COVID times, I would say.
Mhm.
That was my life, just traveling around the world, living modeling life, and everything that comes with it, basically.
Sure. And could you please share a little bit more? How did it happen, and how do you remember? Because it's been a long time ago when you were so young. How did it happen? 13 years old. That's a very young age. I mentioned on the
Yeah,
email my wife was a model as well, and she left home at 17, and that was considered young. And 13, that's
yeah.
it. That's like a definitely different degree.
Yeah, when I think about it now, I'm like, whoa, when I look at the 13 years old like kids now, I'm like, I can't believe I did it when I was 13. I'm originally from quite small Russian city. Well, it's not that small actually. It's like a normal a million citizens,
Mm.
uh, people, Russian city called Voronezh. And I guess I always been this kid that is like, I used to always hang out with guys more, usually like when I was a kid with my cousins. In school, I was super quiet and nothing, extravagant. Um, I was tall. I always was the tallest in class. And so my mom, I don't know, it's always been my dream to be a model since I
Hmm.
was like playing Barbie like dolls, like I will
Sure.
pretend that they're models.
Yep.
And so when my mom took me to modeling school in my hometown, I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we did not expect anything from this. It was more like for me to be in the environment with the girls, to be a bit more confident about my height, like, and
Hmm.
to become a little bit more feminine, I guess. It was just something that I was interested at because
Hmm.
I was a kid that tried so many different things when I was a child, but nothing really like interested me that much. So I started to go to this modeling school since I was 12. And unexpectedly, just the scouts from different countries, from different agencies, international agencies came scouting for new faces. And that's when that happened. They came to our small city, and they saw me, they were interested. Of course, like back then I was like, no way. This is no way anything is gonna happen, whatever. Like they took a couple of photos of me and they laughed and that was it. But soon after that, they contacted back through my modeling school and invited me to work abroad in Japan. Japan was my first contract. And so as soon as I turned 13, because 12 it was too much like underage for modeling. So as soon as I turned 13, they sent me a modeling contract. I signed the modeling contract like right on my birthday. And shortly after that, I already went to Tokyo for my first traveling contract. Of course, it was crazy when I think about it. Um, and it was like a big deal for my parents too, because obviously I was still young. But now when I think about it, and like as I said, when I look at the younger like kids like that are 13 years old now, I guess my mom always say when I ask her now, like, how did you let me, like to go there? And she says that I guess I was always like kind of a smart child, I was never like a disaster. So she kind of was probably like confident about me being able to do this on my own. And that's what happened. And I'm really proud of myself too, because, like I've been in this industry since very young, and obviously there was girls my age, and I've seen things, I've seen girls young going completely crazy with freedom that they have at this age. And I'm very proud of myself that I've never have fallen into this hole myself, So I think that's why I understand now why my mom was right about those things.
Sure. Were you tempted to fall?
Um, I don't know. I don't think so, Like obviously it's so easy. There's like parties, there's events, there's people, there's girls, like things happening, but I always just been, I don't know, I've been a little bit, how do you call that? Like too much of a like a right girl, I
Mm-hmm.
never will say bad words when I
Mm-hmm.
was kid,
Mm-hmm.
when you're
Sure.
like growing
Sure.
up and all your like kids around you playing with, they would always like, you fuck off, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah. I was
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
not that child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why I always been like very like a right
Mm-hmm.
girl, wouldn't do anything wrong, wouldn't say bad words. So it's actually lasted for me a long, long time until like I would say 20s. I was like very strict with certain things and so on. So yeah.
So how many inappropriate proposals did you have to reject during your model career?
Mm,
Because I, I w-
I don't
I couldn't believe that there were none of that. I'm sure there are many men around you, and you know that their intentions are not right, but
know.
they might be tempting, and they are definitely tempting for many other girls, right?
There was a bunch of kind of weird situations, at work, sometimes at like when you go out. I wouldn't probably give you like a particular number, but
Sure.
there was definitely a few.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to never like have anything completely weird or end up at some weird story.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Because maybe I was just lucky, maybe because I was just smart enough to not get into that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was definitely a few weird like hints towards my way, like when you have just like for an example, I remember working in Milan and like in the modeling industry, we work in Asia a lot. That's mostly where you make money, blah, blah, blah. But when you go to Europe, it's like like that's where dreams might come true, in fashion industry, to walk the shows, to
Hmm.
work with big brands and so on. So it's important to have a strong portfolio, of course. And I remember having this a photo shoot with a photographer there because I just wanted to build more of like fashion portfolio to have good stuff in my book. Um, and the photos were like a little bit not extremely sexy, but like stockings without underwear type of thing.
Hmm.
And I guess I wouldn't say I was 100% confident, but I always take it like this is my job, like I do what I can as long to keep it like not vulgar or anything
Yep.
like that. And then, but there was just some weird vibe with the photographer when he was like crossing the line of like comfort like zone,
Yep.
like
Sure.
physical, how do you call it? So yeah, I remember like those few weird moments in my career that happened
Okay.
to me.
Sure. Sure. And like, were there only ups and downs? I'm sure there were at least some, but what do you recall to be the best and the worst moments of that career?
Look, like as I've been working, as I've been living my modeling life, which is like 17 years if we count until now. I mean, I loved it, like I
Hmm.
loved everything about it, the traveling, the meeting new people. I love the job itself. It's totally my plate, it's totally my environment. And it's been just very recent that I started to analyze things, started to analyze how this modeling actually affected me
Hmm.
as my personality, my life, and so on. And of course, there is a dark side as well. Maybe not, I wouldn't say dark, but there is definitely a few things that affected me as a person, like the fact that, like, loneliness, for example, you travel, you move around, you left your family very early, so you got detached from your family
Hmm.
very early. And I would say you don't really have the, how do you call it? Like belonging, you know what
Hmm.
I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I realized that I'm not coming back home to Russia like coming home anymore, It
Hmm.
was very soon for me that I realized I'm coming to visit my
Hmm.
family,
Yep.
not returning back home. But until now, I'm living an immigrant life here in Bangkok, and obviously I don't feel like um I belong here neither, or I belong there. So this type of things, loneliness, you always meet people, every single trip, every single contract you travel, you meet people, you meet your soulmates, friends. Sometimes it's a romantic, like friendship and so on. And obviously, because you travel so much and everybody in this industry usually moves around so much and don't have so
Hmm.
many plans ahead. So it's hard to build a strong friendship. It's hard to build a strong relationship because it's always just like that. So it's very heartbreaking as well. And that's also affects you as your personality, as your, yeah, it makes you definitely like a stronger person somehow, but at the same time, kind of takes something away from you. And yeah, like I guess as the other, and I will say probably the biggest thing that I think affected me in this life, in this modeling life, is the fact that I realized very recent as well is that I've never really knew who I was. I never really knew who I was inside,
Hmm.
like originally. Um, and I just started to learn to find out like what kind of person I am actually, what do I think about things actually, because modeling, it's always about just the physical outside
Absolutely.
world.
Mm-hmm.
It's always about just being in shape. It's always about just being beautiful. Smile. It's never about talking. It's never about expressing yourself, what you think, what's your actual opinion on things. And of course, as I've been living this life and I was growing up, you don't think about that too much. You know what I mean? You just kind of exist in this environment and you don't think about those things. You just do whatever, like however it works.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just recently when I started to reflect on those things, it's definitely like this lack of me knowing how to actually express myself, not just with the outside,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know,
Persona and appearance, yeah.
exactly, but also my inner world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still something that I'm working on. That's something that I'm trying to learn again, how to like express myself, how to talk, when you're like
Mm-hmm.
out, when you're with people, how to share your opinion, how to not be shy, to say what you think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of work. It's like it's a big process. It doesn't just change like this. It's not just like you realize it and there you go. Now you can. It's
Absolutely.
like a whole actual process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And would you agree that you've let your beauty, your appearance define you for over a decade?
I guess you can say so. It's definitely there's other things, like however my past experience was, it brought me to this point where I am now. Mm, and it made me the person I am now. And I'm proud of this person I am now, and better later to be at this point of trying to figure out and learn yourself again rather than never. But
Mm-hmm.
who knows, maybe if not modeling, I could be a different person or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to like judge it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say that it's like I'm actually, I think I've been very blessed and lucky of this opportunity of this model life, because who knows where I would have ended up being living a normal life in Voronezh. I'm coming from a very normal family, where people never had so much money or opportunities to travel. I'm the first person in my big family
Mm-hmm.
that ever been like outside of Russia, you
Yep.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but traveled around the world and had opportunity to live and experience different cultures. And so I'm not like judging it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying like it was something bad. It is what it is. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy I'm here realizing things and trying to just learn how to be my real self now, you
Sure.
know?
Sure. Um, because you've mentioned in one of the videos, I think that you are grateful for your modeling career, correct? And
Yes, very
would you
much.
would you say that what you are grateful the most is your current realizations, that it helped you to realize, or at least start realizing, who you truly are?
I mean, that plays a big part of it. Um, who knows, maybe if not modeling, I would have realized it earlier, or you never know. We
Absolutely.
just living
Mm-hmm.
life. But there is definitely many other things why I appreciate this experience is first of all is traveling. I believe
Mm-hmm.
that traveling is really the best thing you can do in this life
Mm-hmm.
because it is. And from very young. So traveling is the best school you can have in this life because we're not talking about school program, we're talking about life knowledge. We're talking
Sure.
about experiencing different cultures, meeting different people. I literally have friends all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I it's amazing, but it's true when I think about it. It sounds very normal, but it's actually For real, I have friends everywhere around the world. I remember traveling in Europe and missing my flight in Barcelona, and I couldn't get a new flight. So I had to spend a few days in Barcelona, and I was kind of like stressful and nervous. And I'm like, shit, they lost my luggage. And then I posted something on Instagram, and it's like five people that I know, and not just random people, but like people that I've been close to,
Hmm.
like that I know. They're like, "Hey, what's up? You're here. What the hell?"
Yeah.
Like, and they took me around, and they like, I was like, "Okay, this is the rewards."
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah, uh, there is a lot of good things about it.
Sure. So let's talk about maybe travel, but also living in different places, different cultures. Because let's go back to the surface level a little bit. You moved to Japan, and how long have you stayed there? What have you learned from this time in Japan? If we could start from there, and maybe a little bit
Yes.
of your bio.
So I went to Japan as for my first modeling contract. When I was 13, I went to Tokyo and I spent there 3 months. It was a 3 months contract.
Hmm.
Obviously, like imagine I'm a 13 years old kid traveling, taking plane for the first time in my life.
Sure.
I speak zero language, nothing, no English at all,
Not even
and land
Japanese.
nothing, not even Japanese, not even. And I remember like leaving the plane and I'm like, where's my luggage?
Hmm.
Like, where's my luggage? Like the plane is already there. I'm already here. How do I get stuff? Like I was completely not understanding what the hell is going on, but I was brave. I remember I was really brave and I was so excited at the same time and scared at the same time. And Japan is just a different world overall. It's not like I traveled somewhere familiar.
Hmm.
It's Japan, and still I think so. And if you've never been to Japan, I would really say is a place that you must visit at least once in this life
Sure.
because it's I just love Japan. I don't know. I think I had one of my previous lives being Japanese or
Hmm.
something. And yeah, and of course, I would like Japan is just amazing. People are wonderful, food, everything about Japanese culture I love. But for me, it was more about, you know, a kid living at home and being completely independent and being completely responsible, just you and nobody else, for your life.
Hmm.
For to be safe, to you gotta now choose what are you gonna eat every day. Like make decisions that you're not used to make being a 13 years old kid of living with your mom.
Hmm.
So obviously this first trip taught me a lot. And maybe it didn't in some ways, but now when I think about it, like, eating like chocolates for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, this type of stuff, because you're a kid. And even though you come from modeling and you shouldn't do
Hmm.
it, you're
Hmm.
just, this is freedom and you just allow yourself be free and pretend
Hmm.
you're old and independent adult,
Hmm.
but you're actually not. And yeah, um, after that, I will just come back to Russia for another few months, attend my school, and then leave again. I will do like about 2 contracts a year,
Hmm.
3 months per contract. So one will be like around winter time, the other one during summer break.
Hmm.
And that was my life, like basically until I ended school, and then after I finished school. I started to travel more because I went to university, but part-time studying.
Hmm.
And I did that only for 2 years and I quit because I said, like, doing this traveling, modeling, and I was
Hmm.
making good money. And it was my main income, and it was the income to support my like whole family too.
Hmm.
So, and because I was the only one to make this decision, nobody else could tell me, no, you gotta stay and study in the university
Hmm.
because, they all knew what's going on there. So it's just that it's just traveling here and there. I've been working in around Asia, Europe, United States, pretty much everywhere. I've never became
Hmm.
like a top model. I never did any a crazy campaign for a big brand, but I was an average good like model making a good money
Hmm.
to live and survive and help your family and enjoy your life until like the whole, you know, my whole journey. Yeah,
Sure.
during my whole journey.
And would you feel comfortable sharing what kind of money are we talking about? Like, is it like regular uh, good wage, or is it some enormous amount of money?
No, it's
Would you at
never
least
been.
give us some sort of range?
Look, so my regular year would look like that. I used to work well, good, like average well in China. I'm sure you know the Chinese market for modeling is a good market for making money, right? So I will usually go to China for a contract once a year for 2 months. I
Hmm.
work there for
Hmm.
2 months. I've never made like extremely millions there. There was other models who will make way more money there during this
Absolutely.
period.
Hmm.
I would say like for back then, let's say, and before the COVID times, in 2 months I would make like 10, $15,000.
Hmm.
And that will be enough for me to live the rest of my year doing whatever I want. Traveling, going to Europe, doing contracts in Europe because you don't usually make so much money there. So you
Sure.
can afford
Hmm.
with this money to go and just do the fashion week, attend the like all the parties, events there, do the build your portfolio
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Travel, go here, go there with your friends. So, and that was for many years. That was my
Hmm.
routine.
Hmm.
One contract in China, make those like more or less this amount of money, and then
Hmm.
the rest of the year, you just spend those money.
Sure. And what did
And
you do the rest of the year?
And the rest of the year, I will just go to Europe, or spend summer in Russia with family,
Hmm.
or, go for holidays. Mostly it will be other contracts during like contract trips to Europe with
Hmm.
agencies. But as
Hmm.
I said, in Europe, um, you don't make those money in month,
Hmm.
unless you make a big campaign for a big brand or whatever. Europe is mostly you go there for a hope of a chance that you might get this type of job. That's
Sure.
how modeling usually works. You make money in China and
Hmm.
then you go to Europe doing those castings with famous casting directors, with famous brands to hope that somebody will see you and somebody will make you a top model and so on. Or like if you get fashion show, fashion week jobs and so yeah.
Sure. That
And
sounds. Yep. Yeah. Go. Go.
no, but as you
Hmm.
see in this routine,
Hmm.
you make money in China for 2 months, and the rest of the year you just spend those money,
Sure.
and you go back to China with zero.
Hmm. Yep.
That's how I used to do it because nobody educated me how to invest
Hmm.
a part of those money,
Yep.
how to save like a percentage of those money. And maybe if I knew, I would not end up being broke here. You know what
Hmm.
I mean?
It's like playing Monopoly or Euro Business. Every time you
Yeah,
start
and that's
again, you get like some money for start, and then you go again, you go again, and you go again.
exactly, because that's why I don't know if you've seen this video, but I'm talking about how life can be so unpredictable.
Sure.
That was my stability. That was my
Hmm.
stability for years. I already knew what's happening. I'm going to China, I'm making those money, and the rest of the year I'm just enjoying my life
Hmm.
until COVID happened.
Hmm.
But who knew the COVID will happen? You don't think about those things. You don't, you know, and that's where your survival skills start to like work and you're like, uh-oh, like what's now?
Hmm. Sure.
And here you are.
Yeah. Just before we go into COVID and what changed after that period, um, when you describe your career for around 10, I think more like 10, 12 years, more or less, it sounds very stable, very predictable, but I'm sure it wasn't like that. I'm sure there were some ups and downs, there were some challenges. Well, you mentioned that it's difficult to to sustain relationships, especially deep relationships. What
Mhm.
would you say were your main challenges during this 10, 12-year period? Maybe let's say
Yeah,
10-year period after finishing school.
I guess like a relationship is a good subject to talk about. I'm 30 years old woman now, and I haven't been in a serious relationship during this whole modeling journey.
Hmm.
Obviously, I had like partners and short-term relationships. And now I have my boyfriend for 2 years. We're in relationship and I'm about to move in with him. And I just told him, I realized I'm like, hey, I realized that I'm a 30 years old woman and I've never lived with a man in my
Hmm.
life.
Hmm. Yep.
I don't have that experience. I don't have this experience of living with a partner, sharing the same space, and building something together. So I guess that's a big gap there that I've been missing in my, like, I guess it's important part of your personality, like of actually, because I realized being single, it's a good thing, and that's the time where you learn a lot about yourself. All those basic things. You know what food you like better, what vibe you like better. When you're alone with yourself, you know everything about yourself. But then, since I was in relationship now, after a long time of not being in the serious relationship, because in short-term relationship, 2, 3 months, 5 months. It's always a period of just like, learning each other, adjusting, blah, blah. But when it gets older, the like longer relationship, that's where you actually start to learn about yourself as well, but
Totally.
like from a different perspective. It's just the different things that you learn about yourself rather than from when you're like single alone. And actually, my boyfriend is also did a big like affection on me in this journey of, you know, understanding that I don't really know like how is it to be myself,
Hmm.
or like who am I actually, what kind of person I am, because yeah, he actually did a big part of this kind of push for me.
Sure. Could you share how you met and how did he affect your self-discovery process? That's two different subjects, but I'm sure they have
Yeah.
common themes for sure.
We met here in Bangkok. Um, I went to a festival, like a lifestyle festival here in Thailand. It's called Wonderfood. Very wonderful festival. I recommend you to come and experience it for whenever you have a
Sure.
chance.
Sure.
He runs this festival actually,
Okay.
and for me, back then I was working for a company. I was working for a real estate company for a few years, doing my office job, and
In Thailand, yeah?
yes, here
Okay.
in Bangkok, in
Hmm.
Thailand. I've been fully based in Bangkok, in Thailand since COVID.
Hmm.
So about how I ended up here.
Sure.
I usually would come to spend winters here in Thailand because I just don't like to feel cold in Europe or
Yep.
whatever. So
Absolutely.
I will come and spend a few months here during winter periods because I love.
Yep. Sorry, go on, please. It was just getting a little bit cold, so yeah, yeah,
No,
that's what you're talking about. You said about the winter in Thailand, and oh, it's actually chilly.
Chile.
Yeah.
And so I came here to spend another winter, and that's when COVID happened, basically. I was planning my trip to China after Chinese New Year,
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But then COVID happened and everything got canceled, and I got kind of stuck here. And then there was opportunity to go back to Russia because they were like, helping Russian people, citizens to go back to Russia. And I didn't
Hmm.
want that, obviously.
Hmm.
So I decided to just spend my COVID here.
Sure.
And since then, I've been just based here. and living here for already like over 5 years now,
Hmm.
full time. Anyway, so I went to that festival completely alone. I was not planning to go that year. I knew a lot of my friends were going, but I was just not in the right mood for that.
Hmm.
And it was very spontaneous. It was last minute decision for me. I literally woke up on a Saturday morning and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go, you know.
Sure.
So it's 2 hours drive from Bangkok.
You eventually learn to
Gotta
say fuck because you couldn't do that
yes,
when you
yes.
were when you were a teenager.
I still feel like a bit, like I'm like, maybe I
That's
shouldn't have
wrong.
said it, but whatever.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I just packed my bag and I went to Pattaya, which is 2 hours away from here, and I went to that
Hmm.
festival completely alone on my own, which is not something that I will do. I can go to eat alone in the restaurants. I can go to the cinema. I can go travel to the islands
Hmm.
and all that. But like I wouldn't go to the bar myself, let's say,
Sure.
or like in the club or party. I don't know why. It's just like I don't feel confident. I don't feel safe doing those things. But I went to that festival and I'm like, whatever. I have a lot of friends there. I'll just like be bouncing between the groups.
Hmm.
And he was the first person I saw. We met before. I didn't remember him, but he remembered my name. Kiki is very easy to remember here, especially in Asia. So he like, shouted at me. I'm like, who is this guy? And I pretended that I know him because I
Hmm.
didn't want to make him feel like awkward.
Hmm.
We spoke for 5 minutes and then we bounced into each other for a few more times, and which was already like weird for me. I'm like, something is happening here because festival is huge. It's like 30,000 people. Imagine.
Hmm.
You hardly can find your friends there sometimes. You just
Yep.
keep getting lost and whatever.
Hmm.
And we bounced into each other like 5 times or more that one evening that I was there. And I was like, who is this guy? Like something is weird here.
Hmm.
I could never remember who he was, but luckily he texted me the next morning saying like, "Hey, it was good seeing you." I was already gone. I left, and that's how we started our love story,
Hmm.
basically.
Sure.
And how did he kind of like affected me
Hmm.
to start this transformation journey? This
Yeah, because this festival is kind of related to self-discovery process, would you say, or it's just a music and
No, 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 no.
different?
It's just, yeah, it was just a wonderful experience that I've been to that festival a bunch of times before. It's a yearly event.
Sure, but it's just music and like entertainment. It's
It,
not.
it's music, lifestyle, it's wellness, it's good vibes. It's a family festival. It's not like a crazy party, like drugs and no, no. It's like a kind of Burning Man
Okay.
experience in Thailand between Coachella and Burning Man, let's say.
Okay.
But Thai
Sure.
version and very like wellness, spiritual as well, and
Okay, so there is
music.
some spirituality and meditation
Yeah.
maybe around
But
that.
I
Yeah.
don't think I would that particular event had to do anything with
Sure.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of started a bit earlier when I was working, like as I said, I was working in office, doing an office job, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I realized I'm like, I know I don't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
Even though everything cool, like I'm doing great here, but I know like this is not me. And then I'm like, this is not me, but what is me then?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that like what kind of person I am? What do I want to do? Like, am I more like into creative environment? I'm like, yeah, definitely, but are you creative? Are you an artist? But not really. And then those questions, they start to build up, build up, build up, and you still don't have really answers to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I met my boyfriend, he he did a big input into like for me to officially just tell myself like something is happening here. I feel like I'm going through this weird period of my life where I feel completely lost. I don't know who I am. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what I want. I don't know what I like. I have too many questions and I have zero answers. And that's also because I felt like, it was my very first relationship where I could feel that I was totally accepted by
Mm.
this other
Yep.
person
Mm-hmm.
with all your good sides and spiky sides, with how you are, you
Hmm.
know? He will always say, just be yourself, just don't worry, you know, like you can be yourself. And I'm like, but what is it myself? Like
Hmm.
who is this myself? Who am I actually? And that's where like an actual official process for me began, you know? I realized that I need to do something about it. I felt like I was completely lost, and that's where I sat down and I told my boyfriend, I'm like, look, I think I'm a little bit lost now. I'm a little bit lost here. I don't know what's going on, but something is definitely happening, and it's probably this like something is about to happen, you know, like, and it's still happening. It's still a process. It's a sort of transformation, let's call it, you know. I don't know, like in the beginning I was calling it like a crisis, you know, like a crisis, mid-age crisis, whatever you call it, whatever. But then I'm like, yeah, you can call it crisis, but maybe I'd rather call it like a transformation, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm still going through. There's like a higher kind of levels of it and a lower levels of it, and it's a completely a crazy process because you're not like depressed or anything. You are not sad, you know. It can get exciting, it can get scary sometimes. It's just like a roller coaster, you know. Every day you get 1000 different emotions, but it's not something sad or bad or extremely good or wonderful. It's just this like, imagine like a ball of energy with a like just a different energy going on, and you're trying to figure, you know.
Hmm.
And it's not like that you sit down one day and you're like, okay, I gotta figure who I am, what I am. No, it's like a long ass process where every day you have a new, you know, like insights, where every day you have new understandings, a lot of new understandings every day, and you are like, what? But this is not what I always thought about things about life, you know? And like it's basically all your previous understandings about things about life are just kind of like crashing down, but the new ones that are like coming into your mind with extremely like quick speed are still not like, you are not ready for them, you know,
Hmm.
to kind of like put it together in your
Hmm.
mind. So obviously like those, I remember like those like few months, it was really hard for me because it was really like this. I was like, I'm going crazy. I literally was like, I think I'm going crazy, you know, but it's just part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what is crazy? What is normal? That like there are so many good questions
That
without proper
exactly.
answers, right? But so let me ask you a question that probably doesn't have an answer, but maybe you can come up with one.
Try.
Um, so Kiki 2025, who are you?
I really don't have an answer to that.
And that's probably the best answer you can you can have.
You know, it's crazy, but like as I've been saying, I asked that myself, you know, and I'm like who I am.
Hmm.
And it was a big moment in my life. It was a like it was one day a big moment where like when I sat down and I'm like who I am. You know, I was actually like kind of like, you know, sometimes when you overthink a lot, you kind of float between one overthinking to another overthinking, and everything is so connected, and you are just completely lost in this overthinking process. And then I was like, wait, calm down. I'm like,
Hmm.
come back to yourself. And then I was like, wait, but what, where is it? Come back to yourself. Like, what is it? Maybe being this overthinking person is myself, or
Hmm.
come back to my physical self, you know, like grounding a little bit, like, okay, that's me, Nastia Kovaleva from Russia, you know, in this body, a
Hmm.
female, whatever, you know, like, is this me? And I was like, who am I? And that was a big, big thing for me to understand, to kind of like, I literally had to take my journal and like, and write like me, what is it? What I am? Cool, human, woman, like blah, blah, blah. And then what's then? My overthinking, my mind. And then the third was just like, I guess that was the day when I realized that I have something more than just like my body and my mind, that it was something way deeper there. And I guess we're talking about spirituality here from now on. It was something that you can't explain. What is it? Some energy, your soul, your inner self, like your divine self or whatever. And I was just sitting here in this room and I'm like fuck, I've never thought about it. And all my life, I've been living my life just as a human, as a woman in the physical body, traveling, modeling, blah, blah, blah. But I've never lived my life as, as a, I guess, as a life that is three together,
Mm-hmm.
with that third part that was missing inside me. And I would always I would always like ask God for whatever, help me, or, like ask the universe. But I realized I've never really asked myself about what I want, about what should I do, where I should go, or, like I've never really looked inside.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was so external. And that was like a big day where I was like, okay, here, like that's a very good basis to start with, like this journey of learning more about yourself, so yeah.
How are you feeling now after expressing that?
Hopeful.
Hopeful. But
Hopeful.
yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
it helped me understand a lot of things, really. Like it helped me understand that we shouldn't take life so seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't, obviously, like I'm there where I was probably like, wishing for myself 10 years ago, like to live in Thailand, because I always wanted to live here. I remember having that on my wish list, to be in a healthy relationship, to love someone, because after being single for so many years, there was a moment where I was like, I will probably end up alone in this life, because I really thought that I don't have that feeling for other people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's it's very interesting. It's a very interesting journey, like crazy, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Crazy, but does it somehow sometimes make you feel like extremely light?
Mm, what do you mean by that? Like
Because
relaxed?
yeah, like mm, the feeling of letting go that I suppose you felt a little bit terrified when you realized, oh, this is definitely not me. Like the feeling in the office that you don't belong there, you don't understand what is going on, but definitely something is going on and you can't live this life anymore this way. And I'm sure at the beginning it must have been very terrifying and like going crazy, like judging yourself to be crazy, and then
Yeah.
having certain realizations and being able to express them in a way you just did. Like does it feel you very 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 light, very light, very, not carrying the weight on your back?
So, like I would say the first phases of this process, it
Mm-hmm.
was really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh my God, I'm lost. It was like, I'm completely lost. I don't know what's going on. And it was kind of scary. because you're like, oh my God, I'm already 30 years old. And then of like you compare yourself with your friends that are your age, with some other models, and
Hmm.
somebody is more successful, somebody know what they're doing, like a normal human things. And I was really like, I was stressing out over like, I need to sit down and I need to figure it out now.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
was, I was like pushing myself. I was asking from myself, like, I need to sit down, I need to figure. I'm like I need to do it. This is my job now. I understand that's I have to like it, like I need more understandings here.
Hmm.
And that was going for actually like a few months, this, like super uncomfortable feeling when every day you wake up and you're like, you can't let yourself just live your life. You're like, okay, I need to do something about it. I need to do something, but you don't even know what to do.
Hmm.
You're like, you have this feeling of, I need to do something, I need to do something, but what exactly is that you need to do? And this is a complete mess. Like, it was really, really crazy. And it was just recent, like really recent. I would say not maybe a half of a year ago, 6 months ago, that I was like, okay, I need to like relax a little bit. I just need to like breathe out. I need to let go and see how things are gonna unfold. I just need to fucking relax. That's it. Because I was really feeling like I was going crazy. And obviously it's not so easy. You can't, like after, when you have this processes, you can just let go and like, all right, let's see, let's not take this too seriously, whatever, is going to happen is going to happen. It's not easy. You really need to kind of push yourself to relax a little bit sometimes, because it's not easy to relax when you are, when you're going through this, when you're on your low points, when you don't have a stability, when you're like,
Hmm.
a lot of things are happening at the same time. It's not easy to relax.
Hmm.
So, but I have to say that as soon as I started to kind of calm myself down a little bit, I told my boyfriend, I'm like, look, I want to be very clear here. I want to be very open and honest. There's things happening. I feel very unstable now. And probably this process is also happening because I feel a lot of support from you, like from
Hmm.
my boyfriend. So that's why I kind of allowing myself to do that, for that to happen, because he's very supportive and I need the support, and he's just somebody who I can rely on and let this process, this transformation happen.
Hmm.
Because when you're alone and you're a strong, independent woman, you can't allow yourself to be lost, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely.
So,
That
yeah,
was, if like, if I can share my own experience,
please,
that
please, I'd
is
love to.
that was the most inspiring moment of our conversation. That was the most beautiful thing you said so far. I really felt that the support
Mhm.
from your boyfriend, and how the safe space can influence somebody to just let go their own mm, conditioning and attachments, and just express themselves, sometimes for the first time in their life. Sometimes, like, oh, I can, this feeling of, oh, in this space with this person, I can be really me for the first time in my life. Yeah, so that's beautiful. Thanks for saying that.
Mhm.
And another part of it that was really inspiring for me was taking responsibility of your quote unquote craziness, you know, that you're, oh, I want to be clear with you. I don't feel very stable and I don't know what's going to happen. And could you share perhaps like what was his response and what happened next?
I mean, he's always been very supportive, obviously, but it's also a lot about myself, because I was so used to just deal with my shit on my own all my
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yep.
So I wasn't sure if for me, it was very hard to actually to have this conversation with him because from one side, I felt like I really need him and I really need him as my support. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to put this shit on him, you know?
Hmm.
I don't want to make him somehow responsible for my shit. I don't want to put this weight on him because it's just like not how things works for me. And I really didn't want to like, yeah, like I was feeling like I'm becoming a little bit of a weight on his shoulders being in this like period of my life, you know?
Hmm.
But, you know, he's an older guy. He's been through all this shit already and he knew exactly what I was talking about. So
Hmm.
he was super understanding. He gave me all the support. He said, he's this kind of guy that wouldn't like dig in, you know? He's like, if you ever need to share,
Hmm.
if you ever need my advice, if you ever need anything from me, you just let me know because he's not gonna be like, you better do this or you but he's like he's not, and that this is what is very important. So I still have this availability of going through this journey on my own. You know what I mean? But then if I need anything, any support, any advice,
Hmm.
I can always ask,
Sure.
and he's always gonna be there, you know. And we do talk a lot about things like that. You know, he shared his experience, even though, of course, our lives are completely different lives.
Hmm.
But yeah, he had his moments, so he completely understand, and he can he have enough of experience to, you know, to support.
Absolutely. Thanks. And I definitely want to respect his privacy, but so like I'll let you decide if that's fair to share. But would you say mm, what's the age difference between you?
Uh, we are 17 years
Okay.
difference, so he's 47. Yeah,
And
it's not a secret.
yeah, is he spiritual or just generally experienced in life?
He is very spiritual guy.
Okay.
I
Yep.
wouldn't say he's like very, you know, he's not like over because I'm, you know, I'm not also like
Mm-hmm.
extremely too much.
Yep.
I am very beginning in spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's an artist, he's a musician.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, he did ayahuasca twice in his life. So yeah, he's definitely like a
Yep.
spiritual guy, you know, and that's why I think we are very a good match with him because he's just in that perfect level for me of you know of this balance between spirituality and reality
Yep.
and practicality and
Absolutely.
everything. So
Down to earth spirituality. Have you
yeah,
done ayahuasca or any other psychedelic trips?
no,
No. Are you planning to or?
I really want to. I really want to. From what I think about it, I think you have to be ready for that. I think I'm nearly there, nearly there.
That's very
And
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and I think, you know, like I believe that everything comes into your life whenever you're ready for that. So I'm sure whenever I'll be ready 100%, I'll
Hmm.
have this opportunity. And if I will, I'll definitely use it, you know?
Yeah, that's a very mature and responsible way of
Yeah.
approaching it. So yeah,
Hmm.
thanks for sharing that as well. And staying at responsibility, I want to ask you, do you believe in magic?
Yeah, totally.
Could you share more? Like, what exactly is your belief in magic?
I mean, life itself is super magic because it's such a complex system. I don't know. I guess it's something you can't really explain. You
Hmm.
either believe it or not.
Hmm.
And obviously, I just like, look, I believe in spirits, in ghosts.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just so much of a complex complicity of what's happening in this life and how is it so much of everything is so connected um, is just, and obviously our brains are not like big or strong enough or capable enough to
Hmm.
understand the actual thing what's going on. And as long as you are aware of that, it
Hmm.
already allows you
Yeah.
to believe in magic,
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm asking because I've named my new channel the Illusion of Illusion. So I am like very curious about the like. I'm also very down to earth, and I like spotting certain illusions. And I noticed when you said about comparing yourself to other people
Mhm.
and including other people like from your industry at your age, and this illusion, I want to suggest that it is an illusion that you feel like everybody around you has everything figured out, you know, you're the only
Exactly.
one in the universe who doesn't know what to do next, you know. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big illusion, like that we
Yeah,
that everybody
definitely.
else knows what they're doing. And pretty much, I think most people have no idea what they're doing, and the level of reflection in life, self-reflection, is actually very low. People are like pretty much very neurotic. They are on their autopilot, um,
Yeah.
and it requires a lot of work to take a deep responsibility. Mm, and you mentioned about the responsibility, and I want to switch a little bit from, you know, how like talking about these concepts, and I'm sure there is a space for that, that, you know, um, who we truly are, what we are doing here. This is an illusion, that is illusion, so we should let go our attachments. And
Mhm.
on certain level, it feels really beautiful. Like we said, that you like, you feel like this burden from your back is gone. You know, you feel amazing. You know, but after a period of these realizations, you have to go back to regular life. Uh, and you can't get rid of your conditioning. You can't get rid of how money, other people, like regular stuff, everyday life affects you. And how
Mhm.
do you integrate your realizations with regular life?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too recently. Because recently I've been kind of like learning, teaching myself to, to be as present as possible, as aware as possible, to stay conscious as much as you can. But really, it's not easy at all, because in modern world, with life going on outside your door, it's not just easy to be aware all the time. And the system works amazing to keep you in the system, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I was also thinking about it that obviously to be aware about awareness is a good step towards
Mm-hmm.
awareness and consciousness. But being aware and conscious, it's nothing close to the actual experience. I don't know if saying any nonsense now or what. And it's really hard to, yeah, like you just gotta figure how to balance it or something. But I haven't figured. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, like me now, I'm going through my journey and I'm trying to understand who I am and what I want to do and what's my purpose in this life and blah blah blah. But at the same time, yeah, like you said, I need to work, I need to make money, I need to pay bills. All these material things are still here because we are still material and we are still living in the material life as well. We still here. So we kind of have to figure how to balance between those things. And It's not easy.
Sure. Can you imagine after so many years in modeling, feeling in a way a bit special because you are seen by other people. Like people are paying you to be seen rather than other way around. Uh, can you imagine yourself being just like working a regular job again, like for example in the office, but with a different mindset, maybe accepting that you don't belong there, you just go there for money, or that you do some, I don't know, you're a cashier at the supermarket or whatever else. Can you imagine yourself working this job and still be down to earth, spiritual and happy?
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I'm sure I still might, you know, happen to do those things because I still have my bills to pay and I still
Mm-hmm.
have things to figure. Um, I guess it's all about mindset a lot too,
Absolutely.
but it's very confusing, you know? I mean, I don't know if the truth does exist, like for real, like about this subject, because from one side, you can have a mindset that, okay, this is a temporary, I'm just gonna do it to survive, to make
Mm-hmm.
money,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that, I'm not this person, this is not my thing, it's just temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've been doing actually my office job before.
Mm-hmm.
But also, this mindset is kind of wrong at the same time because as long as you have this mindset and as long as you think going to work every single day knowing that this is temporary, it doesn't allows you to completely focus so much on the job you're doing. And of
Mm-hmm.
course it depends what job you're doing. Maybe if you're just selling ice cream somewhere, you don't need so much of the like focus in
Mm-hmm.
the industry, in the job. But I was working in a real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a 24 hours job basically because you have your clients, you need always to be online, you cannot just switch off your phone and like, okay, this is my relaxed time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be focused,
Sure.
and with this type of job you just can't separate really your work from your hobby, or like do 9 to 7 9 to 5 job and then switch off your phone and be home and do things that you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe everything is so depends and everything is so like really, I don't know. I don't
Sure.
know.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, um, you're somewhere um, on the way. You know, you're not claiming to be at the final stop. You are on the
Yeah.
journey. So
And I
perhaps
don't
you'll
think
have
I've
further
ever been
realizations. Yep.
will be,
Absolutely.
I think it's always a learning, it's a forever journey. Really.
Absolutely.
That's what I
Absolutely.
think. Yeah.
That's one of the most important realizations. I think that there is no end point. There is no defining
Yeah.
moment. But yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Thank you. And maybe if we could touch one more subject, which I saw on your YouTube very recently, one of the most recent videos, probably the last one, or
Mhm.
one of the last ones for sure, which I think is beautiful to share. And especially that it might be a little bit confusing. It might actually be for some people another illusion. It's about not owing anything to anybody, including your close ones and including the most basic values, such as honesty and not
Mhm.
being owed by anybody as well. Mm. Could you maybe share a little bit, like a brief maybe essence of your message, which I think is very beautiful, and I'm sure we'll leave the a link to that video.
Um yeah, like again, it's a mindset that I'm trying to build for myself
Hmm.
because I feel like it's really will make your life easier and more free to live your life without expectations. Because what's mostly makes us frustrated and sad or angry, emotional, it's all comes from your expectations when the things did not come out as you expected them to be. And a few years ago, I was also like listening to some podcast or something, and that's where I actually heard about this mindset, that nobody owes you anything.
Mm-hmm.
Same as you don't owe anything to anybody. Not in a way that you don't have to do nothing, or everything is just, everything should come from want. I don't understand who made those rules. I understand, so like society makes this rules, and I I don't know. I just feel like everything will be way more real and free without those labeled responsibilities
Mm-hmm.
that we have playing these roles in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
being a good girlfriend, being a good boyfriend, being a good son, being a good parent, and all that.
Sure. So if you put some money into bank, for example, your wages you put on your bank account, um, do they owe you this money?
Well, I'm not talking about like any agreements or like law obligations, right?
Sure.
Of course, if you have a child, you're obligated to raise this child until it gets 18 years old. That's by the law, at
By law.
least.
Yeah.
And then we
Mm-hmm.
are not even talking
Mm-hmm.
about how it is from the like moral side about this.
Absolutely.
If you have agreements, if you have contracts, you better follow your promises. If you promise, if you're a married woman and you have the agreement with your husband that he will be making money in this family, he will be the worker, and he agrees to bring money monthly into this family, but you have to agree that you will be cooking dinner every single day. That's an agreement. But if you don't, and because you've been born into a life where we have this mindset that woman is the one who has to clean the house and cook the dinner every day just because she's a woman, even though maybe she also have her job or whatever
Mm-hmm.
other responsibilities, but because the culture, the mentality says so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it fair,
Mm-hmm.
really? Like, does it make any sense? Maybe not.
It,
But if
yeah.
you have certain agreements,
Mm-hmm.
right, like you said, it's a good things to point in a relationship, for example, to go through these things. And I think it's very adult to speak about those things when you get into relationship,
Mm-hmm.
or even in a friendship. I think it's a good thing to speak about that. I'm doing this for you because I want to do that for you. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
giving you this birthday present because I want a birthday present back from you.
Sure.
I'm giving you this birthday present because I just want to give you a birthday present. I want to make you be happy. I want to make you feel good on your birthday.
And what if
You
the
know what?
other person doesn't like? Mm, what if you start feeling taking advantage of? Taken advantage, like being taken advantage of, somebody is taking advantage of you. You feel that way, at least because you were giving to somebody without expectations to get anything in return. What then?
Then it's your own responsibility how to react to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Like
yeah, exactly.
you
It's
were
mhm,
you were expecting, and that didn't happen. You got frustrated, but that's your choice to be frustrated or not,
mhm,
really.
absolutely.
Yeah, what do
It's
you think? What do you think? Share your opinion. I'm really curious to
no,
speak about all this
like I
thing,
said,
you know?
I totally agree, and it sounds so easy when you think about it. That you like you can like even promising anything about the future is like a false promise potentially, because like even
Yeah,
the marriage vows, for example, I will be with you forever. I have no idea. Like maybe I will not
exactly.
be. I can only share my current intentions. I can share what's currently in me, you know? And I thought about it even yesterday. Um, this experience of loving somebody and just wanting the best for another person without any expectations of anything in return, you know, not feeling entitled. It's the best feeling you can get, really, because
Yeah.
when you feel there is some sort of negotiations mm, inside that, you know, I'm going to invite you for a Zoom conversation, but I only do this because it's dirty, it's not clear, you know. And you know, I understand why people do this, but I'm just sharing how beautiful it is when I let go this dirty part, you know. And you know, we agreed to talk at 1 p.m. Your time, 8 a.m. my time, you know? And if you didn't show up, for example, or if I just like, you know, I go away, you know? You just leave I mean, you see the wall and I never return, you know? Then it is your responsibility to do with that whatever you want. And that's about setting your
Mhm.
own boundaries. You can tell me, for example, if I, let's say, interrupted you 5 times, for example, you know, you share some deep realizations or deep experiences of yours that are very intimate for you, and I tell you some stupid joke, for example, you know, you shouldn't feel entitled that I don't interrupt you. You just say that, for example, if you do this again, I will not want to speak to you, probably, you know, and that's then it
Mhm.
is up to me what I do with that information, you know, and yeah, that's so easy.
Totally. Yeah, and it's actually a funny subject to talk about because I'm pretty straightforward person. And I think for like talking about my relationship again, for my boyfriend, he's like the kindest person. He's pretty sensitive sometimes. So I could feel that in the beginning because, I haven't been in a relationship so long and I always been straightforward. And sometimes you don't think about when you say things being just honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel like him adjusting at the beginning to the straightforwardness sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when he would start telling me something, about, I don't know, his work or whatever, what's happening in his like office, job, whatever. And of course, sometimes I will totally listen and, have a conversation with him. But sometimes when I'm busy with my own thoughts, I don't know, with something, and this information completely, like, I don't need it right now.
Yeah,
It's just,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I don't need this information at this moment. Like, I don't care about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. I would say, like, hey, baby, like, can we, like, I'm sorry, but I don't need to know this.
Yeah,
Can we talk
absolutely.
about this later?
Sure.
And, like, it's it's not, if you think about it globally, it's nothing really wrong about it, right? But sometimes this person can feel like you devalue his, intention or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, it's always a choice, right? How you
Absolutely.
gonna react to those things.
Absolutely. And every choice has consequences, you know? Every choice has consequences. And you know, it's a dance between taking care of ourselves, between taking care of other things, and there'll be
Hmm.
always potentially good and potentially bad consequences. But that's life, basically. And we
Exactly.
are on a humble path to learn about ourselves and about the world. Uh, and
Mhm.
yeah, I wish you all the best on this humble path to stay
Thank you very
on
much.
this path. Um, I'm rooting for you, and keep sharing your realizations. I think there is a great value in it, even though it takes work to accept that most people will not be interested in that. You know,
Hmm.
it's a very lonely path, but
Yeah.
it is where the value is, like from
It's
my
also
perspective. You know.
important to kind of understand that. why are you doing this for?
Sure.
And I guess in my case, probably same like in your case, you're doing it more for yourself for the first time. Because I realized today I was talking to a friend and I'm like, just speaking out loud about your opinions, about your thoughts, about your principles on life or whatever reflections, just speaking out loud there, not for anybody to hear this, even though of course like we're in YouTube, we're here because we want to attract people, we want to build community, and we want to discuss those things, your actual opinions. You want to hear the
Mm,
feedback, you want to hear approval or disapproval, or you want any reaction. That's how things works here. But for me it is actually very just important to put it down and see
mm-hmm.
what what do you actually think about some particular things
Yep.
about life.
Yep.
And it's just an extra reminder of yourself, what is your thought and what is your position towards this or that, like
Mhm.
thing. I guess I don't know how to explain, but it's like this is the thing that kind of like motivates me and keeps me going, is to do it for myself first, because
Sure.
it's definitely built something inside me.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that those points of view or those opinions is something that I'm gonna follow forever. It's
Absolutely.
forever does not exist in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't frame myself in the forever frames.
Mm-hmm.
Here, now, this is what I think, this is how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow will show.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you very much for hitting up. And, it was great to catch up, definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you very
I
much.
wish
And
you
yep.
a lot of luck too. And, us here talking together, it's already a good start to building a community of like-minded people. And the more we get together, the more like input we can put together, I believe.
Absolutely. I believe so too. So have a great day.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
all the best
much.
to you. Stay in touch. Yeah. Bye bye.
Yes, have a wonderful day.
Bye
Bye.
bye.